Today will be a slightly different lesson. So as you know, there's many Sicilian variations. They're all complicated with a lot of theory. And I have a special place in my heart for unconventional and fun Sicilians.
Oh.
And I've already done a mini course and we've done some lessons on the lazy Sicilian, which was my favorite for a while. But today we're going to learn a new one, which is called the fake Sveshnikov.
Oh,
Do you have any idea of what it might be?
well, it's probably a Rui Lopez because it's fake Sveshnikov. No, I have no idea. I've never heard about this. Is the name the fake Sveshnikov, or did you make up that name?
No, it's not a real name. It was when a friend introduced me to this line a couple of years ago. That's
Oh.
kind of the name we went with.
All right, okay. I'm super curious. I don't even know. Yeah, maybe probably you will show what is actually the Sveshnikov because I'm just so not Sicilian after all, sadly.
Hmm.
Although I was living in Malta, which is very close to Sicily, but I'm still like haven't picked up the opening, unfortunately. So we go for
Well, you picked
e4.
up the dragon.
That is true, yeah, but because I was kind of forced into it, and then I just learned to love it. Let's say it like that. Okay, we go with e4, c5. That's how much I know.
Yeah. So then, knight f3, knight c6,
Hmm.
d4, the open Sicilian. And at this point is where, if you were to play the real Sveshnikov Sicilian, you would go like this, attack the pawn, like this, and e5.
Okay.
Do you know kind of the usual ideas here?
No.
No. So I
I
I
mean,
can
you
tell a
go with
little
the
bit.
knight to b5. Yeah, that I know.
So
And
in these lines, yeah, go ahead.
that was it already. Knight
That
b5
was
is
the
like,
ending
yeah.
thought.
I mean, you at home, I'm pretty sure you're Sveshnikov aficionados, but yeah, that's it. Knight b5 is this is, and then there's 1 million variations.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of variations, but it has very distinct pawn structures. So then this knight moves away, then this pawn goes here, and a lot of the time, White's play revolves around this d5 square, the bishop comes to g5, things like that. So it has a very distinct pawn structure, some weaknesses for black, but also, of course, some counterplay. So it's a very serious variation. A lot of top players play it. So White usually tries to take control of that d5 square and do that knight repositioning from a3 to a better square. So they have slight positional edges, but black has counterplay.
Okay.
So that's what the real Sveshnikov would be. And in this fake Sveshnikov, we would start with e5. So it's not a super like uncommon move. It's still third in popularity, but still is a little bit different already.
Okay.
In these cases, if the knight ever goes to a different place, like let's say to f3, to b3, it's not a super big deal. You just usually get a better, here you get an even better version of the Sveshnikov where you can attack this pawn and even this bishop can come out.
Hmm.
So this is just a really wonderful version of what you would usually get in a Sicilian. So usually we're not too worried if the knight goes away, just continue regular development. But the real problem is the knight coming to b5. So
Uh-huh.
of course we don't want it to come to d6 and prevent all of our pieces from developing, so we play d6 ourselves. And if you notice, usually the real Sveshnikov, these two knights are already here, but here they're not. So that's kind of the main difference, is that the opponent might think this is the Sveshnikov and just play it like they usually would, but there is a difference. Usually, what white is going to respond to this is knight 1 to c3. It's a normal move, it's what most people would play. But here, it's not really that necessary. You could even play c4 because that pawn is not attacked, so the knight is not forced to go there. And since it's not forced, you can have this knight return to c3.
Hmm.
So you don't really have to take up that space. So if your opponent suspects something doesn't play knight c3, you can just continue like this, sort of the usual way. Eventually, they'll probably still develop that knight there. And in these positions, we don't get b5 because of that pawn, but instead we're going to play for this f5 idea. You could also
Oh.
play bishop e6 like a normal person, but why would you do that if you can play f5? So The idea is to play f4. If you get f4, you have a really, really good position. And if you don't, if it gets taken, then you just have all this development to yourself and you end up castling. I really like this position with,
Super
yeah,
fine, yeah.
some
This
future plans. Not, I would think black has a lot to do. So that's what you would play against c4, or at least the approximate plan. Of course, don't play f5 if something is wrong, is tactically wrong with it, but otherwise it should be good. But most people you play will just develop this knight here. Now, as per the usual Sveshnikov, we push that knight away, we play b5, threatening b4. So to prevent this, the white only has a couple of moves available, and the usual one that I think most Sveshnikov players will play is knight d5. You kind of don't want to remove the knight somewhere else. Um, so now we've probably tricked white into thinking we're going to play knight f6 and play the Sveshnikov, but now we do something else. And that difference is knight to e7. So
wow.
you'll see sometimes like an f5 plan exists, and for that reason that knight is not there. But that's not even the main reason. The main reason is just bishop g5 is not going to be as effective, and you're not going to have
Ah.
as many problems with that pin, which is sort of the usual white's usual play in the real Sveshnikov. So um, yeah, ever since I got introduced to this line, I redid the analysis a bit for this lesson, and I actually found that it has some nice ideas. So you can definitely use it, especially if you don't already play the Sveshnikov, or if you do and you wanna switch it up a bit. So maybe since this is our first critical position, what are some moves you can think of for white, and which one do you think is best?
Okay, well, comes to mind to get one of the bishops out, either to e3 or d3. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
go for a castling next, and then yeah, there's plenty of other moves. I don't think the queen, unless you want to castle alongside, but I think white is mostly going to castle short, so it looks to
Mm-hmm.
me as if either bishop e2 or d3 is one of the main moves or main ideas for white, and then they can push with f4 at one point, probably. Since the knight is even on d5 right now and helping it a bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are some good ideas. So bishop e3, bishop d3 are two moves that for sure exist, and they're in the. We're gonna look at them as some of the main moves. Also, I guess if you were an avid Sicilian player as white, you would also bring up ideas like either c3 or c4,
Hmm.
because usually in this pawn structure, let's say you play c3, you bring the knight over here, and sometimes you bring it to support the other knight because this knight on a3 is doing nothing all game. And you play c4 to attack the pawn on b5. So these are the very usual plans, and we will look at all of them, including bishop to g5, because that's still a move. And it's a pretty interesting one. Maybe we can start with that one,
Okay.
because this is by far the main idea in the regular Sveshnikov. But here it's not as effective, but it still has some subtleties. So of course, when you see this bishop and you can kick it out for free, you kick it out for free with h6. And I would think the usual way to go is just to retreat the bishop somewhere. And in that case, we can give a check to get rid of the pin and then take that knight and continue our development with the bishop. Usually these ones are pretty good if white didn't get a big advantage in development, and we don't have a lot of weaknesses that they can grasp on.
Hmm.
So that's a pretty good position. But what is a concern in this line, and why I think I still need to show it, is because one of the moves here is bishop to b5.
I beg you pardon.
There's 90 games that have been played in this, and I was so shocked. I was like, how many people are gonna
Oh, now I
see this
see it.
see this line so over the board? But maybe they know about it. Maybe both kind of prepared some type of thing here. But bishop b5, a move worth knowing for sure. So yeah, a lot going on here. So what happens if we take the bishop?
So we can take back. I mean, there's not that big of a threat because if the queen gives a check, we can just leave the knight there for now. Because in worst case, if the queen would take the knight, we can always give a check on c7 and fork. So yeah, that's my
Yeah.
opinion.
So there is the issue of this knight c7 coming, and most of the time the issue there is that the king has to go here, and it really disrupts everything. It doesn't look good, and basically we just don't want our king to be wandering around everywhere like that. So here there's the only and the best move that is worth knowing that I don't think you can come up with without seeing it with an engine. But that's why I said to specifically show this line. It is f6.
So the king goes to f7.
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
god,
You,
that is
you clear that
so
space, but you
crazy.
attack the bishop again. One is not enough. You
Just in
do have
case,
to
yeah.
do the second one. So keep in mind, we already won the piece on b5, so white needs to prove something here.
Hmm.
If they give any of the checks, that's fine. We just do this and take the bishop.
Black is
This
beautiful, yeah.
this check also, even better, because we can
Hmm.
win this knight, and their pieces are a bit uh, a bit stuck there.
But now, is black just better? Yeah.
Here, black is better.
Yeah,
Here,
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
equal actually, but
Ah,
I don't mind black's position at all.
crazy. Okay.
Um, yeah, so and it's also engine evaluation, so obviously, as a real person playing it,
Sure.
it will feel a bit different. Something like this is even losing for for white, and it's a crazy thought because you have to give up your queen for it, and you have four pieces for the queen.
Wow, talking
I've never
about
seen that,
material imbalances.
never had that in a game, but black is winning
Clearly,
with,
it's, I mean, the
yeah,
points are 12 to 9, right?
yeah, plus a lot of pawns if you think about it.
Yeah.
But
Oh, true.
it's it's just that the pieces, if they're well coordinated, they're gonna do much more than the
Oh,
queen.
yeah.
So here none of them are hanging. You can really coordinate them, put some knight on g4, and
Wait, is
I think
black's
it's
turn or not?
no, it's white's turn.
Oh, so white can take on f6, or
Yeah,
am I wrong? Oh
yeah, yeah,
my goodness. And then on g5 in worst case? What a
yeah. I would
and there
be
were games like this?
no. Well, this is just a line
Okay, okay.
from knight f6, but maybe there could have been games.
I want to see those
But
games.
it would be cool to include this in the
Yeah,
imbalances category for sure. I think it's a really cool line, but of course, how many people are going to actually play it?
yeah.
Now the best move for white is bishop to f6. Also very difficult to find, and the response is, of course, naturally just a check and give up the knight on c6 as
Oh my
we
god.
as we tend to do, and then the rook is protected, so that's fine. And two bishops are there. King is relatively safe, and you just try to win with an extra piece from here.
You cannot take on d6?
You can.
Okay, because that would have the bishops a bit.
Yeah, but you still have the extra bishop left.
Uh, yeah, how?
Well, we have two.
But if we take on, if white takes on d6 with check, we take the one on c8, or is that not feasible?
Well, I can take this one.
And then we take this one.
Yeah.
Oh, there you mean. Thank you. Now I get it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we have like a full piece. Oh my
Yeah.
god, and all those pawns. What crazy positions are happening here? What is wrong? This is so crazy. Wow.
I mean, it is every time there is an unconventional Sicilian, what else is there to expect?
Okay.
It's always going to be like
I
that.
didn't know
No,
that.
but this is a really crazy line, and just I don't think it's going to happen because bishop g5 is already a bit unnatural,
Hmm.
but Still, it's good to know. I'm sure if you play something like F6 here, you might just get called for an investigation and you'll have to show them this video
Wow.
and
Wow.
explain that this is just the best move and there's nothing to do.
Cute.
So
Okay.
no, it is a computer line, of course, but it's nice to know, and I don't think it's gonna happen super often, this bishop g5. So let's look at more normal stuff. You mentioned bishop e3. So in most of these lines, the idea is to take on d5. If the queen takes, usually that's a bit better for like I like these for black because you get your bishop there, the queen will have to move anyway, and you have some more pressure in the center.
Mhm.
So these are pretty straightforward positions. And if the pawn takes, then you put the knight on e7. And here, a few ideas are to put the knight on f5 sometimes, or if you want, you can play for g6, bishop g7, castles f5. So that's just a couple of ways.
Good, good. Good for
Are
black.
you still recovering from bishop g5?
Yeah, 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 I am. It will take a while. Couple of days. I'll get
Yeah.
over it.
So
But so
the
far,
other
I
lines are
like I
simpler.
like the black position so far a lot. So let's see if white
Yeah.
can give any counterplay, because why wouldn't I play this as black? But we will get to this probably.
Yeah. So bishop d3 is one of the best moves according to the engine,
Hmm.
but many people don't know about it.
Hmm.
Computer suggests many lines here, and computer likes these lines for white. But
Hmm.
I'll show you a few options for black that I think make your plans pretty clear, and I don't feel the huge advantage. Hopefully, if you both play it correctly. So bishop d3 is also a bit not natural. Like I said, most people who have some experience in the Sveshnikov, they're gonna probably initially think of things like c4, c3,
Hmm.
and not really put that bishop on d3. But of course, it can still happen, and it's the best move for a reason. Here we can use the same idea. We can take that knight, put the knight on e7, and the thing here is that white is just slightly ahead in development. They can castle quickly, so that's where the advantage comes from. And usually their advantage comes from solidifying their pawn structure with c4.
Hmm.
And for black, the interesting part about this is that you're gonna just let that pawn be. You're gonna get that development at all cost. And after that other pawn, this is like the Benko gambit, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
You
Or
play
the
f5,
yeah.
and computer gives advantage to white. I personally like this position.
Hmm.
I mean, if you don't mind being down a pawn for a bit. So I think the plans are pretty clear. You can play e4, you can play bishop f6, you can take back that pawn. So yeah, some back and forth. But what do you think?
White cannot save this pawn, right? Like queen e2
No, but they have
is
one more extra pawn. That's what I mean.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, I am okay with that. It looks good for black. I like, yeah, but maybe this pawn disadvantage might sting over time. I mean, black just has to fight for not losing or not swapping too many pieces, I guess, because at
Mhm.
one point the A and B pawn will just perhaps move down.
Well, in the Benko, it's the usual it's the usual deal. But
I
yeah,
see.
you definitely you want to keep white a bit tied down to defending these pawns. So
E4,
yeah,
F4,
f4 is
F3.
good.
There's some nice ideas, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But maybe I would play the e4 plan first and put maybe the bishop to e5.
Mm-hmm.
That seems also pretty good. But yeah, that's the best line according to the engine. I don't think it looks that bad, but definitely just depends if you're. Some people are okay with being down a pawn, some people are not. So
Have you
it's
ever
really.
played against this variation before?
No, no, I
Not yet.
haven't.
Okay.
I've only played this one online.
Aha, I see.
But now that I analyze it, I'm like, wait, maybe, maybe you'll see it soon. Yeah, so the other two options that we have left, and that's actually it. is just c3 and c4.
Hmm.
So c4 is the main move. That's what most people play against this. So we'll look at that last. And let's first just see c3. This is the calmer version. You just reposition that knight to, at least the idea is to reposition that knight to c2 in the future if it's ever just not doing anything. And our plan is the same. What is it?
Well, if our plan is the same, we take the knight on d5 again.
Yeah,
We get our other knight back on e7,
yeah,
and we probably either g6 or f5. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You got it. So, um, that's exactly how we would play. Probably I like starting with g6 and just castling first and then playing f5. But sometimes you could go with one over the other. The problem, well, the main problem in a lot of these lines is the c4 move. And yet again, the best thing to do is just to give up that pawn on b5. I mean, you don't really have very many other options. First of all, here there's also queen a4 to watch out for. But even in general, just allowing these two pawns to be together is a bit iffy. So it's white is usually happy about that. So
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
just leave that pawn as the usual idea goes and take it later, play f5 and go on with that. Sometimes you even have knight f5, knight d4 ideas if you want. You can also go for this d5 pawn, try to win this one. So yeah, a few ideas. You can even play like queen a5 and win this pawn if you
Yeah.
really want it. So you can decide which pawn to go for first. And this one, why I was surprised is that this game was played by Sveshnikov himself.
There
So
you have
actually,
it.
he played this weird Sveshnikov before we
He
even all discovered it.
Sveshnikov played the fake Sveshnikov.
Yeah, that's what he did.
I don't know. I
So
don't
maybe this
know.
is the real Sveshnikov if he did play it.
Yes. The
So yeah,
the second Sveshnikov or something.
he he
Could
was
be.
playing this as black and he lost the game, but we can just ignore
There we
that.
go. Okay, now we know where the story came from.
But
I'm not
but it
playing
will
this fake
always
Sveshnikov again.
but uh but yeah, I still think it's a playable position if you like this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So now the last one,
That
c4.
is
This is the
ambitious.
most classic way to play against this pawn structure, and why it's better than c3 is that you do it in one move.
Hmm.
So you didn't lose a move by playing c3.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Um, so we, as always, will try to do knight to d5. Now, which capture looks the most unpleasant to you?
Hmm. That is such a good question. Well, unpleasant. I mean, I guess unpleasant is the correct word, and then it would be e takes d. So
Mhm.
we keep the pressure, or like, yeah, we keep some. I'm missing the word.
Tension?
Thank you.
Mm.
We keep the tension here, yeah.
Okay.
But then I
Yeah.
won.
So,
Yeah. No, I would definitely do that like this. Yeah.
yeah, any capture works.
Oh.
And in this case, we would put the knight on d4.
Oh.
So usually nice when we let that happen. And here again, if they ever take this pawn, we're just gonna ignore it
We don't care.
and eventually take it, castle, and the knight is on d4.
And interesting. It's a kind of a delayed gambit, as you said
Yeah,
already. Like.
and sometimes white might want to play bishop e3, and there you can decide if you want to keep that knight there. Usually, it kind of feels wrong for them to take it because then they don't have that dark squared bishop, and they might actually have problems on the dark squares,
Hmm.
especially with like that king. So I don't know if they want to take it, but if you really want to avoid it, maybe knight to f5. But I do like that knight on d4, and I think sometimes you can tempt white to take it if they want to give up that bishop.
I'd like that. So how
Yeah.
interesting. I don't dislike this. I think I like it a bit more even than the c3 and the bishop d3
Mm-hmm.
variation.
Well, if you don't count the pawns, I really like it.
Don't count the pawns. Yeah, let's just
Me
forget
too.
about those things.
So maybe the key is just to not count pawns
Yep.
in our lives
In
or do
chess,
it less.
that's the life lesson. Do not
Yeah,
always count pawns, guys.
yeah. Because why be upset if you just if it doesn't matter?
Yep. Oh, I love
You
that.
can't change it. Yeah, so there are also ways to not be down some pawns in these lines. So actually, Queen d5 is the main variation, I'll tell you that. Not e takes e5, but we
Hmm.
should also look at this one. Same thing happens with knight d4. And I did want to show this bishop e3 because we
Ooh.
kind of didn't have time to put the bishop there yet. But that's
Hmm.
fine.
Is
We
it?
can play f5.
Oh,
It looks really weird, but if
yes.
they take here, then bishop e7 and black is better. Because the dark squares are really in black's favor, and that matters a lot, especially when that king is not castled. So there's bishop f6 threats, there's queen a5 check, so it's actually black who has the initiative.
Okay, and so I'm just eyeing e5 right now. So pawn
Hmm.
e5 takes. Then we just castle, and white is in big problems actually. I
I would
think
say so, yeah. Unless there's something more specific, I think this
that
is,
is
yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, white cannot get out on time, I think.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
that's one good variation, but white doesn't have to take it, in which case we can trade queens and play this ending, which I think is pretty pleasant. Once again, you have that bishop,
Oh. And
and the game
g4
goes on.
doesn't matter?
Hmm?
G4 doesn't matter?
It protects the pawn, yeah, but the idea is just that you have compensation on
On
the
the
dark
dark
squares,
squares. Okay.
and you can potentially win it back someday with g6 and
Ah.
threaten rook f2 in the end. But you need to check
Ah.
if anything happens on the G file. Hopefully not.
Okay. Yeah. Good. I didn't
Yeah.
see that. Good you mentioned this. Ah,
Yeah. Yeah.
very
So that's
interesting.
c takes d5, and now the final line that we'll look at today is queen takes d5. And I
Okay.
think that essentially covers like the main parts of this fake Sveshnikov. Is after this we know all the main ideas, and they repeat a lot too. So this is the craziest one though. If you thought bishop g5 was crazy, this one is a bit crazier.
I'm already looking at knight b4.
Oh, like that. I didn't even look at that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I guess we are losing a piece, yeah.
But wait, oh yeah, knight c2 is not a thing because of
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah,
knight.
yeah. I mean, and yeah, that's just there's not a thing. There's nothing, sadly.
Yeah, no, that knight, you gave
Okay,
that knight actually something useful to do. It
fair
had nothing
enough.
useful to do all game,
Fair
but
enough.
finally we gave it a job. Yeah, so here the situation is that the knight is attacked at the same time as the pawn. So you can't do the usual like waiting game where you develop the queen somewhere and then the bishop on e6 or bishop to b7 right away because, oops, because if the bishop goes here, then that's a problem. And on
Not good.
b5. And knight a5 is not as good because our piece coordination is just not there.
Yeah.
And it's not the same as giving up that pawn in the previous one where we had a few more tempi than that. So this is not as good. So instead we play bishop d7. It looks like it makes no sense, but in reality it's just the only logical move left to defend the knight.
Oh, look at this. Now I'm looking at takes, and our rook will take on a3 at one point.
Maybe in another life, but
Okay, maybe
not in
not.
this
Maybe
one
not.
because the idea is knight d4.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit different. Um, they will take, most likely.
Okay.
If they don't take, then we can definitely attack that queen. So we kind of want to keep this tension. So now the queen has to go into the trenches and be
Oops.
almost trapped for a long time.
Okay.
And after d5, lots of interesting lines happen here. You can look at
Wow.
them further, but you do have initiative. I would say black is the one trying to push for something to happen here, especially with this king.
Mhm.
So the crazy final line is b takes a6. This is a slight inaccuracy by white that lets black take over a bit. Rook c8 instead, so the rook finds itself on the c file, and the idea is rook to c5 potentially to try to trap it. So if they do any move, you can try to trap the queen like that. And although it unfortunately doesn't get trapped, you just have a nice piece development, and you hope for the best. You hope the opponent blunders something around their king as well. So white, black is slightly better, but it's
Crazy.
complicated. It's complicated for both sides. So now the final line, a7. When I saw that, I was like, wow, why did we let that pawn get so far? Now it's so annoying. And it's true. So we try to go after the queen, and the queen is almost trapped, so it has to do something.
I
Bishop to
saw
d5
that, yes.
is the tactic that we're going for. So naturally, we take that bishop, and naturally, white promotes. So, if it's a weird Sicilian, I try to find the most interesting lines for you. But I would say if you know this line and the opponent doesn't, it's really over because finding this out over the board is really insane. And definitely most opponents are going to go off track at some point because what are the chances you get the second queen on move 15? So gonna take we're gonna take one of those. And then after this, bishop goes back, and in at the end of this line, black is better, but of course that all leads from that slight inaccuracy by white before. But here black is better. You might win on e4 and just have a good position from here with your bishop pair. So, what do you think about this rare Sicilian?
Yeah. So I'm always happy to learn a new opening from you for various reasons. One of the reasons is that it's not always only about the opening, it's also about certain plans and ideas, which you can find in other openings. And
Mhm.
this just adds to your whole repertoire or to your pattern recognition. Like it feels like this is doing it for me. And here again, like often enough, we've seen the knight go to e7 after taking on d5. Makes a lot of sense also in other openings.
Mhm.
And also the crazy versions I like because, yes, there is this pawn advantage by white, but you get some nice counterplay, and perhaps this is just an opponent which is trying to avoid those sharper positions, and then out of a sudden they're into this because they don't know the opening that well, and you can play full on like attacking mode and maybe get the advantage at one point. So I like it. I like the
Mhm.
fake Sveshnikov, and I like it even more now that I know that even the real Sveshnikov played the fake Sveshnikov at one point. I mean, how cool is
True,
that?
true, true.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Svitlana, and thank you
Mm.
everybody for watching. We see each
Yeah.
other soon enough.
Bye bye.
Bye.